Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here with me, and welcome to this um, meeting on mindfulness. I will share my slideshow. Just a moment. Here it is. Okay. This is called Anxiety and Stress, 8 Hours to Forget Them. Well, first of all, I welcome you and I thank you for being here. I am Flavia Vincenzi, founder of Wow Coaching. I am a life coach and a Robbins Madanes trained coach. I help people overcome problems and difficulties, and I support them, I empower them in taking intelligent action towards their goals or towards what they want in their lives. I work both with one-on-one, so coach and coachee, and I work also with groups. And then I work with families like parents and children, or couples, or friends, or colleagues. And I am a mindfulness teacher, both for adults and for children K-12. The reason why I'm here today is simple. I would like to share with you what I learned during on my path of personal growth. And most of all, I would like to share with you the benefits I had from this path and from what I learned. Let me tell you a couple of words about me. I ran my own business some years ago. I had a business, and when I started, I was full of enthusiasm. I was really happy, and I threw all my energy, all my knowledge, all my money, everything on this business. But then came a time when I had to decide to close down because things weren't going on really well. And when I closed down, I closed also with my life. I got literally frozen. I didn't want to talk about my former business, and I didn't want anyone to talk about it. I didn't want to go out with friends because I felt a giant burden of failure over my shoulders, and I felt like I could be judged as a good for nothing. So I was always nervous, I was always anxious, angry, I was crying a lot, and I was ruining all my most precious relationships. And first and foremost, the relationship with my family. I will never forget my haha moment. Something clicked in my mind, and I asked my family to leave me alone for a weekend. And when I was alone, it started all over again. So I got nervous, I got angry, I got anxious, I cried. So I said to myself, okay, let's do the houseworks to distract myself. And while I was dusting a shelf, a book fell out from the shelf, and it was The Secret. I don't know if you know this book, but in a word, I would say that it says, you can do everything you want if you believe it. I already read this book, but in a way or another, it didn't catch up with me. But this time, I decided it was the right time. So I took it in my hands and I decided to do a path of personal growth that brought me to be a life coach and brought me here in front of you. And one of the main things I learned during this growth, this personal growth, is that it is possible to live emotions without being overwhelmed by them. It is possible to have a different view of emotions. it is possible that they don't overwhelm us, they don't manage us and our lives anymore. You know, many times we talk about anxiety, stress, fear, sadness, all these emotions. We talk about problems. But this is really the point. Emotions are just emotions. They are not problems. Even negative emotions are just emotions. But when we see them as problems, we start being in a mode called the doing mode. So our brain starts focusing on the gap that there is between what I have now and what I want to have, or what I am now and what I want to become. It focuses on that gap, and the gap being the problem, the mind wants to solve it. So first thing, the mind tries to solve the problem. Second, how does the mind do? It recollects from the memory past experiences and past solutions. But you know, many times when we have fear, for example, or anxiety or stress, our solutions are forget about it, or don't think about it, or try to fight against it, try to defeat it. These are all solutions that are stored in our memory, but they don't work. So we recollect these solutions, even if we know that they don't work. Moreover, I would say that many times it doesn't stop there, because our mind starts overthinking. Let's make an example. I come home late from work and I still have to cook the dinner. My family isn't at home, but they will come home soon. So I have to prepare something, but I have no idea what to do. So a little bit of stress and anxiety builds up. I go and open the fridge and I find nothing inside. So something more than a little bit of stress and anxiety builds up. I recollect from my memory a solution I used in the past. So I can call my husband and ask him to buy something to eat. And that could be a good solution to a real problem. But normally our mind doesn't stop there. So I start thinking, well, in the past weeks, we did that many times. So I asked my husband to buy something to eat outside many times. How wonderful would it be to cook something healthy, for example, for my family? But I cannot, because I have to work, and I have to work until late at night. Because, you know, my bosses don't understand me. I would like to have a part-time job, and they ask me to stay there even after my working hours. They really don't understand that I have a family, I have a work, I have many things to manage. And that is the reason why I hate this job. So we began from not knowing what to cook for dinner, and we got to I hate my job. That's the reason why we start being incredibly anxious and stressed, because we try to solve a problem and we overthink. In a word, we are in the doing mode. Now, the solution is to switch from the doing mode, so trying to solve the problem, to the being mode. That is an internal change of perspective. Let's make an example of an external change of perspective. I'm driving my car. I have an appointment. I'm not late, but I'm on time. All of a sudden, a queue. All the cars stops. stop, and there is a cue. I start watching the time, checking the time, because I'm still not late, but if I stay here for longer, I will be late. So I get a little bit anxious and stressed about that. And then a wonderful sunset comes out from the sky. The sky is all blue and yellow and orange and pink. It's wonderful. And I feel so good. Even if I feel good for a second, for a minute, for an hour, I feel good. You know, truly, all is the same. So the cue is the same, my being late is the same, but an external change of perspective made me feel good. Now, of course, we cannot think that we have to rely on an external change of perspective to change our mind, to enter the being mode. So the internal change of perspective is such a change, but is internal. I would call it mindscape as opposed to the landscape. And the best way to switch from doing mode to being mode, so the best way to be in the being mode, is mindfulness. Mindfulness is awareness, is conscious attention. Mindfulness has been described as a meditative practice. Well, mindfulness focuses on the breath, and the practices we do in mindfulness focus on the breath. And by focusing on the breath, we get to be aware of our body, aware of where we are, aware of the present moment. And when we are aware of the present moment and we are aware of where we are and what our thoughts are, we see them as different. They don't overwhelm us anymore because we can observe them as emotions and not as problems. So, entering the being mode allows to first see emotions as emotions, not as problems. Observe them. And of course, because we see emotions as they are, we stop searching for solutions. So our mind stops searching for solutions that normally are even worse than the problem itself. Mindfulness was born in the 70s thanks to John Kabat-Zinn. John Kabat-Zinn is still a macrobiologist, but he was also a meditation practitioner. And he tried to develop this practice, this meditative practice, to solve some depression problems, to treat depressed people. Now mindfulness is so world known that in many countries like the US, like UK, the NHS use it as a complementary and sometimes as an alternative to the conventional medicine. From the 70s on, many studies have been made on mindfulness, and all of them find out some common benefits. First of all, people who practice mindfulness are happier because they see emotions as emotions and not as problem. As a consequence, they decrease dramatically their level of stress and anxiety. And when you feel happier and you decrease your level of anxiety and stress, and you don't let yourself be overwhelmed by these emotions, your relationship change. So you find an improvement in relationships. And then you can also have bodily positive consequences. For example, in the case of chronic pain, there is a strong reduction of the impact of chronic pain. And in general, I would say, and these studies say, that there is a better and improved immune system in people who practice mindfulness. Apart from benefits, there are also some myths to dismantle. Mindfulness doesn't require you to sit in uncomfortable postures, or doesn't require you to practice strong physical exercises. You don't have to sit cross-legged, even if you can, if you want. Normally, the mindfulness practices are made on a chair. It doesn't take too much time. At the beginning, we normally ask 10 to 15 minutes practice. Of course, you can practice even more. There's people who practice 2 hours a day or even more, but you are not required to. It doesn't require too much time, but of course, it requires your commitment and your consistency, because this is a change of perspective, and every change requires a commitment from the person who wants to make this change. It is not about success or failure, because you have your emotions and you know what emotions overwhelm you, what is the change you want to have in not being overwhelmed by certain emotions. I can be stressed, another person can be fearful, another can be anxious, and so on. So everybody has its emotion, his or her emotions, and everybody will practice without any concept of success and failure. And then it is not about accepting the unacceptable and having a passive attitude, because we are talking about seeing emotions in a different way, not accepting them for what they are. We have talked about mindfulness until now from a theoretical point of view, but I would love to let you do a practice, to try a practice in mindfulness. And today we will do a nice practice called the raising meditation. So you can stop this video, and if you can, take a raising. I will wait until you're ready. Okay, so sit comfortably. Don't cross your legs. Breathe in and breathe out. And everything we are going to do, I would like you to be aware, conscious, and focused about what we are going to do. So first, take the resin between your fingers and look at it. Look at how the resin is. Look at the colors. Look at how the light affects the colors. Try to push it. Is it firm or is it soft? Look at this resin as if you've never seen a raisin in your life before. And be conscious and be aware of every sensation you feel in your fingers and everywhere. Now, try to smell it for the first time. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, you can look down. Smell it another time. What are your sensations while smelling it? Do you feel a particular something? Do you feel the smell of the raisin changing every time you smell it? What is the sensation in your nose? And now, put the raisin in your tongue. I won't do that because I have to talk. So, feel the raisin in your mouth. Don't chew it, don't swallow it, just feel it in your mouth and feel all the sensations. Feel the first flavors, how the flavor changes from before when you had nothing in your mouth and now. Feel every sensation. And now, chew a little bit of the raisin. And be aware of every sensation you feel between your teeth, on your tongue. And if you want, you can swallow that little piece. And you feel the piece going down on your throat. What sensations do you feel? And then chew it. And swallow again. Until you have no more raisin in your mouth. You've swallowed everything. What are the sensations now that you don't have the raisin in your mouth anymore? How's the flavors changing? Stay some more seconds with your sensations. And then, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. You know, when I do this practice with the people in front of me, they always tell me, I've never eaten such a good raisin. But you know, I normally bring normal raisins. So it's not that the raisin is special. It's the way we have this experience that is special. And with mindfulness is exactly the same. It's the way we experience our emotions, the new way we see our emotions that is special. I have a mindfulness course ready for you, and the reason why I called it Anxiety and Stress 8 Hours to Forget Them is because this mindfulness course is made up of 8 lessons, and every lesson is of 1 hour. So the first 3 lessons are a sort of introduction into mindfulness. We get conscious about our body. So in the first lesson, we discuss about the automatic pilot, and we discover how much of our lives are managed by the automatic pilot, how many things in our lives we do with the automatic pilot, and we are going to try to take the gear. In the second lesson, we will see the difference between thinking an emotion and feeling an emotion. We are so used to live in our minds that we think we feel emotions, but many times we think about them. So we will discuss about the difference and try to really feel an emotion, a sensation. Then in the third lesson, we will do some small movements, some stretching. But this is just an excuse to talk about limits, because many times we have limits that are self-imposed from our mind. So the stretching will help us explore our limits and discuss about them. Then in the fourth lesson, and from the fourth lesson, we will dig deep into the mindfulness, the core of mindfulness. We will talk about negative spiral of thoughts. And, we talked about at the beginning, we talked about overthinking. And we will discuss about the negative sides of overthinking, and we'll explore a different way to see our thoughts. Then in the fifth lesson, I will give you a crucial practice to face difficulties. Difficulties are hard to face. In this case, it is hard not to be overwhelmed by emotions. But I will give you a good practice to see them in a different way. And then in the sixth lesson, we will have a new point of view on failures and inabilities. Sometimes we think of us as good for nothing, as failing, as not good enough, and so on. But during this lesson, we will see things in a different way, see that we are made of positive and negative emotions, so our failures can be seen in a different way. Then in the seventh lesson, we will explore the link between the daily habits and actions, behaviors, and mood. Sometimes when we are stressed, or when we are stressed, we feel tired. So we give up doing things that would make us feel better. We get rid of precisely that activity that would make us feel better. But in fact, we don't feel better because we gave up the good things. And then during the eighth lesson, we will see how to apply these mindfulness practices that we did together to our daily life without changing it and without taking too much time to our priorities. And now, my next mindfulness course will start on Monday, the 21st of May 2018. It will be an online course, so I will publish my first lesson on Monday, but you will be able to do it whenever you want. And now it's the time of my surprise. For everyone who attended this live and for everyone who will see the replay, I have a special surprise. My special surprise is about the cost. I have a standard cost for this course of 300 euros. But if you join within the 20th of May, so the day before I publish my first lesson, you will be entitled to a strong discount. So the course will cost only 120 euros. And the reasons why I do that is, first, because I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being with me, for listening to me, for joining me and giving me the gift of your time. And second, because if you're here, it means you're motivated to make some changes in your life. And motivation and willingness have to be honored. I would like to honor your motivation, your willingness, your understanding of the time is right and the time is now. Yes, this is the link to the course page. You can go to this link and you will find the special offer I created for you. So I thank you very much for being with me, for having given me the time to explain what mindfulness is all about. I thank you again. I hope to see you in the course. And don't forget to visit my website, that is flaviavincenzi.com, and my Facebook page, UAU Coaching International. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this meeting. If you have any question, just write me or post it below. And as always, please shine like the sun. Bye.